It is mindful of a legacy of service and devotion to this country set by my beloved mother, the late Queen, that I deliver this, the first King's speech, in over 70.
A shocking midnight visitor reveals a royal conspiracy that could destroy everything. This Australian man claims he's the secret son of King Charles and Camilla, but what happened next will leave you speechless. A mysterious woman with FBI connections appears at his door with evidence that changes everything. Someone is hunting for his DNA, and the truth they're hiding could flip the royal family upside down. Prince William's title might not be rightfully his. The palace has stayed silent, but their silence might be the biggest confession of all. What this man is about to expose will shake the monarchy forever.
I have a copy of a book from 1934, the year it was published, that belonged to my husband's grandmother, Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, which in a moment you can all have a look at.
In recent months, a story has emerged from Australia that has captured international attention and raised eyebrows across the globe. Simon Durante Day, a 57-year-old man living in Queensland, has made a claim that seems almost too extraordinary to believe. He insists that he is the biological son of King Charles III and Queen Consort Camilla, an assertion that challenges the very foundations of royal lineage and succession. Durante Day's conviction in this belief is not a recent development. For years, he has been on what can only be described as a relentless journey seeking validation for his claims. His quest has taken him through various channels, from social media platforms where he shares his story with thousands of followers, to legal avenues where he has sought to compel the royal family to participate in DNA testing. This is not simply a passing curiosity or a fleeting claim for this Australian man. It represents what he sees as his fundamental right to know his true identity and heritage. The story takes on an even more intriguing dimension when we consider the lengths to which Durante Day believes others have gone in response to his claims. According to his account, there have been suspicious attempts to obtain his genetic material without his knowledge or consent. These allegations add a layer of mystery and potential intrigue to an already complex narrative. If true, they would suggest that someone, somewhere, is taking his claims seriously enough to warrant clandestine action. The most recent chapter in this ongoing saga involves an incident that Durante Day describes as deeply unsettling. In the early hours of one morning, he reports that a woman appeared at his residence in Australia under circumstances he found immediately suspicious. This was not a casual visitor or someone he had been expecting. The timing alone during the quiet hours when most people are asleep raised immediate red flags for Durante Day and his wife. What made this encounter particularly strange was the identity this woman claimed for herself. According to Durante Day's account, she asserted that she was the daughter of Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh, who was married to Queen Elizabeth II until his death at 2021. This claim, if we pause to consider it, would make her a half-sister to King Charles and, therefore, would position her within the extended royal family tree. The implications of such a claim are significant, and the timing of her appearance at Durante Day's home seemed far from coincidental. Durante Day has spoken publicly about his reaction to this unexpected visit, describing how his internal warning system went into overdrive. He used a colourful expression to convey his skepticism, saying that his instinct for detecting falsehoods was immediately triggered. After years of pursuing his claims and dealing with various responses from supporters and skeptics alike, he has developed what he considers a finely tuned sense for when something does not add up. This encounter, he felt, fell firmly into that category. The woman who appeared at his door was not alone. She was accompanied by someone she identified as a private investigator, which added another layer of complexity to the situation. Private investigators are typically hired to uncover information, conduct surveillance, or gather evidence. Their presence in this scenario raises questions about who might have employed them and for what purpose. Were they there to help Durante Day to investigate him, or perhaps to gather the very DNA evidence he has been seeking to have tested through official channels? According to Durante Day's recounting of events, the woman and her companion claimed they were there to help unravel what they described as a web of deception surrounding his origins. They suggested they had information that could be crucial to his quest for answers about his biological parents. However, rather than providing clarity, their arrival seemed to create more questions than answers. The method of their approach, arriving unannounced in the middle of the night, struck Durante Day as highly irregular and potentially manipulative. The story this mysterious woman told was elaborate and, in some ways, mirrored elements of Durante Day's own journey. She claimed that her own investigation into her background had revealed disturbing inconsistencies in official documents. Her birth certificate and adoption papers, she allegedly stated, contained information that did not stand up to scrutiny. Details such as the hospital where she was supposedly born had been fabricated or altered, leading her down a path of discovery not unlike the one Durante Day has been travelling. This parallel between their stories is striking. Both involve claims of royal lineage that have been allegedly hidden or obscured through official documentation. Both involve individuals who say they have spent years searching for the truth about their biological origins. And both stories involve the highest levels of British society, with connections claimed to the royal family itself. Whether these similarities represent a genuine connection between two people with related experiences, or whether something more calculated is at play, remains an open question. The woman's account of her own investigation took an even more extraordinary turn when she claimed involvement with American federal authorities. According to what she told Durante Day, she had approached the Federal Bureau of Investigation seeking help in untangling the mysteries of her past. The FBI, as most people know, is the primary investigative arm of the United States Department of Justice, dealing with matters of federal law and national security. Their involvement in a case concerning British royal lineage would be highly unusual, to say the least. Even more remarkably, the woman claimed that the FBI had provided her with documentation connecting her to Prince Philip. She further alleged that it was the FBI who had suggested she seek out Simon Durante Day in Australia, having somehow come across his story on social media platforms like YouTube, where he regularly shares updates about his quest. This claim stretches credibility significantly. Government agencies, particularly ones as serious and protocol-driven as the FBI, do not typically involve themselves in matters of royal genealogy, nor do they generally direct private citizens to seek out other individuals based on internet videos. Durante Day's reaction to these claims was one of deep skepticism. Despite his own extraordinary assertions about his royal parentage, he found the woman's story difficult to accept at face value. His years of dealing with bureaucracy, seeking responses from official channels, and understanding how government institutions operate had taught him that agencies like the FBI do not simply hand over sensitive information or become involved in private paternity disputes. The idea that they would willingly confirm someone's connection to a foreign royal family and then direct that person to make contact with another claimant seemed to defy all logic and standard operating procedures. This incident has added yet another complex layer to Durante Day's already complicated journey. It raises questions about who might be interested in his claims and why. Are there individuals or organizations that see value in either proving or disproving his assertions? Could there be efforts underway to obtain his DNA through indirect means, given that official channels have not resulted in the testing he has long requested? Or is this simply an unfortunate case of someone with their own agenda attempting to exploit Durante Day's public profile for their own purposes? The woman who appeared at Simon Durante Day's home in the early hours of December 2nd presented a narrative that was both detailed and disturbing. Her story, as Durante Day recounts it, centered on a personal journey of discovery that had led her to question everything she thought she knew about her own identity. She described how she had begun investigating her own background, driven by suspicions or inconsistencies that had nagged at her over the years. What she claimed to have uncovered was nothing short of shocking. According to her account, when she examined her birth certificate and adoption papers with a critical eye, she found glaring problems with the documentation. The details that should have been straightforward and verifiable instead appeared to be fabricated or manipulated. She specifically mentioned that the hospital listed as her place of birth was false, a claim that would be relatively easy to verify or disprove through official records. If true, such a discovery would naturally lead anyone to question what other aspects of their documented history might be unreliable. This revelation, she said, had set her on a path remarkably similar to the one Durante Day himself has been travelling. She too found herself questioning her origins, wondering about her biological parents, and suspecting that her true lineage had been deliberately hidden from her. The similarities between their situations were striking enough to catch Durante Day's attention, even as his skepticism remained high. Both were dealing with allegedly falsified documents. Both were claiming connections to British royalty, and both had spent considerable time and energy trying to uncover the truth. The woman's story took an even more remarkable turn when she described her interactions with American federal authorities. She claimed that in her search for answers, she had reached out to the Federal Bureau of Investigation for assistance. This in itself raises numerous questions. The FBI typically handles matters within their jurisdiction, focusing on federal crimes, national security issues, and specific categories of investigation. A private individual's quest to discover their biological parents, even if those parents were allegedly members of a foreign royal family, would not normally fall within the FBI's purview. Nevertheless, according to the woman's account as relayed by Durante Day, the FBI became involved in her case. More astonishingly, she claimed that the agency provided her with documentation that linked her directly to Prince Philip, the late Duke of Edinburgh. Prince Philip, who passed away in April of 2021 at the age of 99, was married to Queen Elizabeth II for more than 7 decades. He was a prominent figure in British public life and the father of King Charles. Any claim of biological connection to him would be extraordinary and would require substantial evidence to be taken seriously. The woman allegedly told Durante Day that the FBI had not only confirmed this connection, but had also taken the unusual step of suggesting she make contact with him specifically. She claimed they had somehow become aware of his story through his social media presence, particularly his YouTube videos where he regularly discusses his claims and his ongoing efforts to secure DNA testing with members of the royal family. According to her, the FBI believed there might be a connection between their two cases and encouraged her to travel to Australia to meet with Durante Day in person. This is where Durante Day's considerable skepticism came into sharp focus. Despite being someone who makes extraordinary claims himself, he found this particular narrative extremely difficult to believe. His experience dealing with government institutions, trying to get responses from official channels, and understanding how bureaucracies function had given him insight into how unlikely such a scenario would be. Government agencies, particularly ones as serious and regulated as the FBI, operate under strict protocols and guidelines. They do not typically become involved in private paternity disputes, nor do they direct civilians to seek out other individuals based on internet content. The notion that the FBI would freely share sensitive information about someone's alleged royal lineage without a compelling legal reason seemed implausible to Durante Day. Even more unlikely was the idea that they would actively facilitate a meeting between two private citizens making similar claims about their heritage. These are not the kinds of actions government agencies take lightly, if at all. Such involvement would raise serious questions about jurisdiction, purpose, and the appropriate use of federal resources. Durante Day also questioned the logistics and circumstances of the woman's arrival at his home. She had appeared with a private investigator in tow, arriving in the middle of the night without prior arrangement or warning. The theatrical nature of the encounter, the timing, and the elaborate story all contributed to his sense that something was not right about the situation. His internal alarm bells, as he put it, were ringing loudly. The woman's motives as they emerged during the encounter added another troubling dimension to the story. According to Durante Day's account, she revealed that she had been receiving substantial financial compensation from the royal family. This payment, she claimed, was contingent on her maintaining silence about her supposed royal lineage. The implication was clear. She was being paid to keep quiet about who she really was, and this arrangement had apparently been in place for some time. Her display of wealth seemed to support this claim. She made a point of mentioning that she had flown to Australia in first class, a detail that served to underscore her financial comfort. Whether this was meant to lend credibility to her story about royal payments or simply to impress Durante Day with her resources is unclear. What became clear, however, was that money played a central role in her thinking about the situation. The woman's proposal to Durante Day revealed what he came to see as her true agenda. She suggested that they should compare their DNA to establish whether they shared the royal lineage they both claimed. On the surface, this might seem like a reasonable step toward finding the truth. However, her reasoning for wanting this comparison had little to do with truth-seeking and everything to do with financial leverage. She apparently calculated that if they could prove their mutual descent from the royal family, they would be in a stronger position to extract additional compensation from the institution that had allegedly been paying her to remain silent. This mercenary approach stood in stark contrast to Durante Day's stated motivations. While the woman seemed primarily interested in maximizing her financial gain from the situation, Durante Day has consistently maintained that his quest is about identity and truth rather than money. His wife, who goes by the name Elvana, was quick to reinforce this point. She emphasized that their pursuit has never been about securing wealth or financial advantage. Instead, they are focused on discovering the truth about Simon's biological parents and understanding his real origins. This fundamental difference in motivation highlights an important distinction in how different people might approach questions of heritage and identity. For some, the discovery of royal lineage might represent primarily an opportunity for financial benefit, social status, or material advantage. For others, like Durante Day claims to be, the issue is more deeply personal and existential. It's about understanding who you are, where you come from, and claiming an identity that has been denied or hidden. The ethical complexity of the situation is significant. On one hand, if someone truly has been denied knowledge of their biological parents and heritage, they have a legitimate interest in discovering that information. On the other hand, claims of royal parentage come with implications that extend beyond the individual. They potentially affect inheritance, succession, the reputation of living individuals, and the stability of institutions. This is why such claims require substantial evidence, and why the parties involved often resist engaging with them without compelling proof. Durante Day's refusal to be swayed by the prospect of financial gain, at least according to his public statements, speaks to what he sees as the integrity of his quest. He and Elvana have consistently maintained that no amount of money could replace the value of knowing the truth about his origins. This stance sets them apart from others who might see royal connections primarily as a path to wealth. It also complicates the woman's apparent strategy of trying to recruit him as a partner in what he perceived as essentially a scheme to leverage their combined claims for financial benefit. The entire encounter left Durante Day with more questions than answers. Who was this woman really? Was her story genuine, or was it an elaborate fiction designed to manipulate him in some way? If she was being paid by the royal family as she claimed, why would she risk that arrangement by coming forward now? And perhaps most importantly, what was the real purpose of her visit to his home in the middle of the night? The death of Queen Elizabeth II in September of 2022 marked a profound moment not only for the United Kingdom, but for people around the world who had known her as a constant presence for over 7 decades. For Simon Durante Day, however, the Queen's passing carried a weight that went beyond the collective mourning experienced by millions. He found himself grappling with the loss of someone he had long believed to be his grandmother, a familial connection that existed only in his own mind and heart, unacknowledged by the royal family itself. This deeply personal sense of loss was compounded by what came next. In the wake of the Queen's death, the newly ascended King Charles III made his first major decision regarding titles and succession. He named his eldest son, Prince William, as the Prince of Wales, a title traditionally held by the heir apparent to the British throne. For most observers, this was an expected and entirely appropriate move. William, as the eldest son of the new king, was the obvious choice for this historic title that has been associated with the heir to the throne for centuries. For Durante Day, however, this announcement felt like a deliberate slight, a personal rejection that cut deeply. In his view, if his claims about being the biological son of Charles and Camilla were true, then he would be older than William and therefore would have a stronger claim to the title. The decision to bestow the Prince of Wales title upon William represented, in his eyes, a fundamental injustice. It was not merely a matter of protocol or tradition being followed, but rather what he perceived as a conscious choice to deny him his rightful place in the line of succession. The emotional impact of this decision is evident in how Durante Day has spoken about it publicly. He described the naming of William as Prince of Wales as feeling like a personal insult, a deliberate kick in the face, as he put it. The language he uses conveys not just disappointment, but a sense of being actively dismissed and disrespected. For someone who has spent years believing in his royal heritage and seeking acknowledgement, watching another man receive the titles and recognition he feels should be his own has been particularly difficult to bear. His frustration stems from what he sees as a pattern of being ignored and dismissed by the royal family. Despite years of making his claims public, despite his requests for DNA testing, and despite his attempts to engage with the palace through various channels, he has received no direct response from King Charles or other senior members of the royal family. This silence, from his perspective, is telling. He argues that if his claims were completely baseless, the royal family would have issued a clear denial. The fact that they have not explicitly stated that his claims are false, he suggests, might indicate that there is something to hide. This reasoning, while understandable from his perspective, does not necessarily hold up to scrutiny. The royal family has a long-standing policy of not responding to every claim or allegation made about them in the media or by private individuals. To do so would be to engage in an endless cycle of denial and defense. Their silence on Durante Day's claims may simply reflect this general policy rather than any tacit acknowledgement of truth. Nevertheless, for Durante Day, the lack of explicit denial has become part of his argument for why his claims deserve serious consideration. His plea for acknowledgement from King Charles is heartfelt and persistent. He has repeatedly asked for what he sees as a basic right, an answer about his parentage and access to DNA testing that could definitively resolve the question. His appeals carry a tone of desperation mixed with determination. He points out that Charles now has everything he wanted in life: the throne, the woman he loves as his wife, and the respect and position he has worked toward for decades. Given all of this, Durante Day argues, surely Charles could afford to give him the simple acknowledgement and answers he seeks. The sense of being dismissed and overlooked has clearly taken an emotional toll. Durante Day has spoken openly about feeling as though he does not matter, as though his existence and his search for identity are considered irrelevant by the very people he believes hold the key to his past. This feeling of worthlessness in the eyes of those he claims as family is particularly painful. While William and Harry grew up knowing their parents, receiving acknowledgement of their place in the royal family, and having their identities clearly established, Durante Day has spent decades in uncertainty, not even knowing who his biological mother is. This comparison to the experiences of William and Harry is significant in how Durante Day frames his situation. He acknowledges that both princes experienced the traumatic loss of their mother, Princess Diana, when they were young. That loss shaped their lives in profound ways and continues to affect them. However, Durante Day points out that at least they knew their mother, had memories of her, and understood their place in their family. He, by contrast, has never even had the opportunity to know the woman who gave birth to him. This absence, this void where maternal connection should be, has haunted him throughout his life. The question of motivation inevitably arises when someone makes claims of royal parentage. Critics and skeptics often suggest that such claims are driven by a desire for wealth, status, or attention. Durante Day has confronted these accusations directly, acknowledging the complexity of his own feelings about the potential implications of his claims being proven true. He admits that part of him would appreciate the status and recognition that would come with being acknowledged as a prince. At the same time, he recognizes that such a position would bring burdens and responsibilities that he might not necessarily want. This ambivalence reflects a more nuanced understanding of what royal status actually entails than critics might give him credit for. Being a member of the royal family is not simply about privilege and luxury. It comes with intense scrutiny, loss of privacy, rigid protocols, and the weight of public expectation. Durante Day seems aware of these realities, even as he continues to pursue recognition. His acknowledgement that there is an element of him that does not want the title of Prince of Wales, even as he feels entitled to it, suggests a complicated relationship with the idea of royal identity. His frustration intensifies when people interpret his quest as being primarily about money. He has been accused of pursuing his claims in hopes of securing a financial windfall, accessing royal wealth, or positioning himself for inheritance. These accusations clearly bother him, as they reduce what he sees as a profound personal journey to a simple matter of greed. He insists that the quest for acknowledgement is about far more than material gain. It is about identity, belonging, and the fundamental human need to know where one comes from. In seeking to explain his perspective, Durante Day has drawn parallels to Prince Harry's well-documented struggles within the royal family. Harry's decision to step back from senior royal duties, his public criticisms of how he was treated by the institution, and his ongoing efforts to establish his own worth and identity outside the traditional royal framework resonate with Durante Day. He sees in Harry's situation a reflection of his own feelings of being undervalued and ignored. The core of Harry's grievances, as Durante Day understands them, is not really about the titles or the specific roles denied to him. Rather, it is about the deeper emotional wound of feeling dismissed and worthless in the eyes of one's own family. This interpretation of Harry's motivations allows Durante Day to connect his own experience to that of someone who is unquestionably a member of the royal family. If someone with Harry's established position and undeniable lineage can feel overlooked and undervalued, how much more intense must that feeling be for someone whose very connection to the family is disputed and unacknowledged? Durante Day sees Harry's public struggles as an attempt to demonstrate his value and worth to a family and institution that he feels has never fully appreciated him. Harry's various projects, his advocacy work, his willingness to speak publicly about mental health, and his personal struggles, all of these are interpreted by Durante Day as efforts to prove that he matters, that he has something to contribute, and that he deserves respect and recognition. This reading of Harry's situation mirrors Durante Day's own quest for validation and acknowledgement. The empathy Durante Day expresses for Harry and Meghan is genuine and deeply felt. He has watched as the couple faced intense media scrutiny, criticism from within royal circles, and what he perceives as unfair treatment from the institution itself. The way they have been portrayed in certain sections of the press, the allegations made against them, and the social media attacks they have endured have troubled him. He sees their treatment as emblematic of the broader issues within the royal family, issues that he believes have also affected his own situation. This sense of solidarity with Harry has led Durante Day to develop what he considers a strategic approach to proving his claims. If the royal family will not engage with him directly, and if King Charles continues to ignore his requests for acknowledgement and DNA testing, perhaps there is another path forward. Harry, having stepped away from the traditional constraints of royal life and having shown a willingness to challenge the institution, might be more open to helping someone in Durante Day's position. The strategy that Simon Durante Day has developed centers on reaching out to Prince Harry directly, a plan that emerged from advice he says came from a trusted and knowledgeable source. This approach represents a significant shift in his methodology. Rather than continuing to direct his appeals toward King Charles, Buckingham Palace, or other official channels that have remained silent, he has decided to pursue a connection with someone who might be more sympathetic to his situation and more willing to engage with unconventional requests. The reasoning behind this strategy is multifaceted. Harry has demonstrated a willingness to break with royal tradition and challenge the established order in ways that would have been unthinkable for previous generations of royals. His decision to step back from senior royal duties, his openness about his struggles with mental health and his treatment within the institution, and his willingness to speak publicly about issues that were traditionally kept private, all suggest someone who might be more receptive to helping someone in Durante Day's position. Durante Day's wife has been instrumental in pursuing this avenue. She has shared publicly that they received guidance suggesting Harry might be the key to unlocking the truth about Simon's parentage. The advice they received was straightforward: approach Harry, establish a connection with him, and request his cooperation in conducting DNA testing. The logic is that if Durante Day and Harry are indeed half-brothers, as Simon's claims would suggest, then comparing their DNA would provide definitive proof of a shared paternal lineage through King Charles. The appeal of this approach lies in its simplicity and directness. Rather than trying to compel the entire royal institution to respond, rather than navigating the complex protocols and barriers that surround official royal engagement, they would be reaching out to one individual. Harry, now living in California with his wife Meghan and their children, operates with considerably more autonomy than he did when he was a working member of the royal family. He has shown himself willing to make decisions that prioritize his own values and judgments over institutional expectations. For Durante Day, the prospect of making this connection with Harry represents more than just a tactical maneuver. It offers the possibility of finally obtaining concrete evidence that could validate decades of belief and searching. The idea that Harry might be willing to participate in DNA testing, thereby providing the proof that has eluded Durante Day for so long, has given him renewed hope and determination. When he first learned of this potential approach, he admits he was taken aback by the suggestion, but it quickly became something he felt compelled to pursue. The timing of these efforts has become particularly poignant given recent developments in the royal family. In February of 2024, Buckingham Palace announced that King Charles had been diagnosed with cancer. The nature of the cancer and specific details about his treatment were not fully disclosed, but the announcement sent shockwaves through the United Kingdom and around the world. For Durante Day, this news brought a complex mix of emotions. Despite his frustration with Charles and his feelings of being dismissed and ignored, Durante Day has expressed genuine concern for the king's health. He spent time absorbing the news reports about the diagnosis, processing what this might mean both for Charles personally and for his own ongoing quest for acknowledgement. His response to the diagnosis reveals something of his character and the complexity of his feelings toward the man he believes to be his biological father. There is anger and disappointment about the lack of recognition, but there is also an underlying current of care and concern. Durante Day has stated publicly that he hopes Charles makes a full recovery. He does not wish harm upon him, despite the years of frustration and the emotional toll of being ignored. In fact, he expresses a preference for receiving the truth about his parentage directly from Charles himself rather than through the impersonal mechanism of a DNA test. There is something deeply human in this desire, a wish for personal acknowledgement and direct communication rather than just scientific confirmation. The cancer diagnosis has not deterred Durante Day from his pursuit of truth, but it has perhaps added urgency to his efforts. The reality that Charles is now in his mid-70s and facing a serious health challenge brings into focus the limited window that may exist for obtaining direct answers. This awareness seems to have intensified his determination to make contact with Harry and move forward with DNA testing through that avenue. Interestingly, Durante Day has also ventured into offering advice about Charles's cancer treatment, drawing on his personal network and beliefs about alternative healing methods. He has spoken about friends and acquaintances who practice both Western and Eastern traditional healing approaches and who he claims have had remarkable success in treating cancer. His confidence in these alternative modalities is strong, based on what he describes as first-hand observation of their effectiveness. This perspective on cancer treatment reflects a broader worldview that values approaches outside mainstream medicine. Durante Day has stated explicitly that if he were in Charles's position, he would avoid radiation therapy and chemotherapy entirely, opting instead for the alternative treatments he has seen work in others. This position, while controversial in medical circles, represents his genuine beliefs about healing and wellness. He has even extended an offer to help Charles access these alternative practitioners, though he couples this offer with a condition. Charles would first need to tell the truth about Simon's parentage. This conditional offer of assistance reveals the ongoing tension in Durante Day's relationship with his claims and with Charles himself. Even in a moment of potential compassion and care, the fundamental issue of acknowledgement remains central. He is willing to help, willing to share resources that he believes could be beneficial, but not without first receiving the recognition and truth he has been seeking for so long. Looking beyond the immediate questions of DNA testing and acknowledgement, Durante Day has allowed himself to envision what life might look like if his claims were proven true. The implications would be staggering, both for him personally and for the royal family as an institution. If DNA evidence were to confirm that he is indeed the biological son of King Charles and Queen Camilla, it would fundamentally alter the line of succession and raise profound questions about how such a situation came to be. In contemplating this possibility, Durante Day has imagined a scenario where he would be recognized as the legitimate heir, potentially even ascending to the throne with his wife as queen consort. The magnitude of such a change is not lost on him. It would mean a complete transformation of his life from his current existence in Queensland to a position at the very centre of British public life. Everything about his daily reality would change, from where he lives to how he spends his time to the level of scrutiny and responsibility he would face. This vision of the future brings with it a mixture of excitement and apprehension. His wife has expressed enthusiasm about the possibility of relocating to the United Kingdom, embracing the dramatic change that would come with royal recognition. However, Durante Day himself has expressed more ambivalence. He has lived in Australia for many years, established his life there, and developed deep roots in his community. The prospect of leaving behind everything familiar, even for the fulfillment of what he sees as his true identity and rightful position, is not without emotional complexity. He has voiced concerns about what is happening in the United Kingdom politically and socially, while simultaneously recognizing that he could potentially do significant good if he were in a position of influence. This reflects a sense of civic responsibility and awareness of the broader role that royals can play in society. It is not just about personal recognition or status, but about the opportunity to make meaningful contributions and positive changes. To lighten the weight of these heavy considerations, Durante Day has injected some humor into his contemplation of the future. He notes that he and his wife have never taken a proper holiday together, never had the opportunity to travel extensively, or experience the kind of leisure that many people take for granted. The idea of embarking on a Commonwealth tour, visiting countries around the world in an official capacity, appeals to him not just as a royal duty, but as an opportunity for adventure and new experiences. The support Durante Day receives from his local community in Australia has been an important source of strength throughout his journey. People in his area have followed his story, and many have expressed solidarity with his quest for answers. This local backing has helped sustain him through the periods of frustration and disappointment that inevitably come with pursuing claims that remain unacknowledged by their subjects. One particularly striking aspect of the public support he receives relates to his son Liam. When Simon and Liam appear together in public, people frequently comment on Liam's appearance, specifically his resemblance to the late Queen Elizabeth. Liam has naturally curly hair that, when left unstyled, apparently bears a remarkable similarity to the Queen's iconic hairstyle. This physical resemblance has become something of a talking point in their community and beyond. The reactions they receive when out together range from surprise double takes to direct comments about the similarity. People have nicknamed Liam the $5 Kid because his profile allegedly resembles the image of Queen Elizabeth that appears on Australian $5 notes. This ongoing public recognition of a family resemblance serves in Durante Day's mind as further circumstantial evidence supporting his claims. While physical resemblance alone cannot prove biological relationship, the consistent observations from strangers who have no stake in the matter seem to him to be meaningful. These public encounters reinforce for Durante Day the sense that there is something genuine underlying his claims, something that others can see even without knowing the full story he has been telling for years. Each comment about Liam's appearance, each moment of recognition in public spaces, becomes part of the larger narrative he has constructed about his identity and heritage. For a man who has felt invisible and dismissed by the royal family itself, being seen and acknowledged by ordinary people in his daily life carries particular significance.